What is up, everybody, and welcome to the All-NBA show powered by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com/All-NBA. Weekend edition here. I'm your host, Adam Mares, and I'm joined by my esteemed colleague, Marc Stein. We're a week away. Actually, not even a week away. We're like 5 days away from the NBA season tipping off, Marc. I hope you got your rest in.
Well, it's actually been a busy week already. DLS Mavs, we were in Vegas, did 5 shows in 3 days. Can't lie to you. We're taping this, I think, what is this, Thursday night? Early Thursday morning. We crawled to the airport to fly home, but no, we had a very productive week in Sin City. Everybody on their best behavior. I'm worried about you because I'm seeing on my Twitter feed late tonight, I see a picture of Jared Dudley and JJ Barea, and it says, this is via DNVR Nuggets. Nuggets, breaking news. Nuggets media will scrimmage against the Nuggets coaches Tuesday night.
Man, this is the new thing.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Mazzulla has started a trend. I'm going to guess you're the go-to guy for the media squad, so there's a lot on your shoulders.
I mean, look, man, they're coming after me. The coaches have actually been saying this all training camp and preseason long. They're like, hey, where are your shoes? Stay around, play some pickup. Like they clearly want to go at me and try to make a point. So yes, I think I'm going to be the #1 target at this this coaches versus media scrimmage. What do you think of this, by the way? This idea, like Joe Mazzulla, we know he's kind of an odd duck. He kind of loves these types of moments. But what do you think of? If you showed up, if you put yourself maybe back in your early days reporting and you showed up thinking, I'm going to go out there and play some pickup with my colleagues, and they said, no, we're going to full court press you with our coaching staff. What would you think of that?
I'm sure I would have done it. I mean, look, in the old days, I mean, there was a lot of media pickup ball. I think more probably than there is now at the finals for sure. Just every off day chance at the finals. All-Star games. That was many years and many pounds ago in my life. So yeah, I mean, I did, when Mazzulla did this, I did jokingly mention to Tim McMahon, like, do I need to make my comeback? Are we taking on the Mavs coaches? And he was, there's been no discussion of that here in Dallas, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, full court press. Who in the Denver media is breaking the full court press?
I mean, come on. There's no chance. I hope they don't full court press, but we'll find out. I do wonder if this is going to become a thing, though. Like coaches, players, they're all a little bothered by the fact that the media gets to critique them and their game and gets to say if they're good or bad. And so this idea of, hey, come get on the court, we'll show you how bad you all are.
And,
it's kind of funny to me.
What happens in 2025, which didn't happen in 2005, it's all on video.
That's
so like
right.
This
yep.
is like, I mean, I remember covering the Warriors, Marcus Thompson and Ethan Strauss, 2 writers I worked with very closely. Love those guys. The Warriors would always have the ball rack and we'd be waiting. And these guys couldn't resist grab. And I'm like, guy, do not shoot in here. You're not helping. You're not helping the ball club. Yeah. You're not helping our credibility. Put the ball down. But look, all of us who cover this love to play, love the game. And so it's amazing the interest level in this. Like
I
said, I retweeted the tweet and it's getting crazy engagement. Just people are into this.
Yeah. It's kind of almost like Logan Paul or something being the most highest paid boxer in the world. It's the sideshows now are more interesting. But yes, Tuesday, I'll be out on the court to take my licks from Jared Dudley, JJ Barea, and the rest of the Denver Nuggets coaching staff. We'll see what they have in store for us. I'm excited, though. So we are a week away from the season. And Marc, we're going to be doing this weekly over the weekends, kind of looking at some of the top storylines around the NBA. And of course, this week, there's no shortage of major storylines. We're going to talk about Russell Westbrook going to Sacramento. We're going to talk about LeBron James' sciatica. That's an old man injury. Dinwiddie is available. Jason Kidd signs an extension, and the Bucks sign another Antetokounmpo. So we're going to get to all that stuff. But we're going to start tonight With our big question. Big question is presented by FanDuel. Download the app and use the code ALLNBA to receive $300 in bonus bets when you deposit $5 at setup. Our big question today, Mark, who are NBA insiders and execs talking about as contenders?
Well, I think you're going to like some of my answer because I do hear the Nuggets. They seem to be, I would say, consensus. Yeah, I mean, I think they probably are the consensus number 2 team in the West. Now, for me, if the Rockets don't lose Van Vliet, I really liked Houston. If Houston doesn't lose Van Vliet, I had them as the foremost challengers to OKC in the West. But the Nuggets moves, almost everyone I talked to really likes what they did with, limited flexibility to bring in Valanciunas and Bruce Brown and Tim Hardaway Jr. All of those guys can help this team and give Denver more of a bench than it's had. But yeah, I mean, the Thunder are basically bringing the whole team back from the one knock on the Thunder was they were young and they haven't won yet. Well, they've won now and they're only getting
Right.
more seasoned. They have everyone back. Now, Jalen Williams is not starting the season at full capacity because of his thumb injury, but they've got ridiculous depth. Everyone is chasing them. The East is a mess because of injury. And, Cleveland had such a good season last year, but Cleveland is now that kind of team where they're going to have to prove it to us in the playoffs. Like, I don't know that they can impress us again in the regular season. I mean, they started 15-0. They ran away with the East. But if you lose in the second round, all that stuff goes out the window. So I don't know what the Cavs can do before April to really wow us at this point. They've got to make a playoff run now to really wow us. So I think the Knicks have a great chance to come out of the East. This is their opportunity with the state of Boston and Indiana injury wise. I'm still gullible enough to give Milwaukee a puncher's chance. I seem to be in the minority on that one, but I mean, I'm not sure that the Nuggets moves are such a slam dunk improvement. I think I need to see it. I mean, Jokic, though, I mean, he's going to raise the floor for most of these guys. And so the Nuggets should be the second seed in the West. And the thing is, the Nuggets clearly give OKC problems. As for all the issues Denver had last season, they took OKC to 7. And then the Nuggets have all those same issues with Minnesota. So, it's the classic thing about, every team has that team they don't like to see in the playoffs. But I think in general, the list of contenders with an S, it's probably not as long as you might have thought.
Yeah. And I think that happens though, and some team will rise, some team will join that. But I think when you go into it, most years there really are only 5 or 6 teams that you think are contenders going into the year. So I don't even think that's abnormal. I haven't given this take about the Nuggets and the Thunder matchup yet, anywhere on any show that I do. But one thing I think about, I actually am very high on the Nuggets' offseason. I think that those changes are meaningful. I think the coaching change is meaningful. The cultural change is meaningful. But last year, part of what gave Oklahoma City trouble was Denver's zone and Denver's sort of revamped defensive scheme. And I think one thing that I am curious about with Denver is I think they caught Oklahoma City a little bit off guard with that scheme last year. Oklahoma City's going to have a full year now to prepare for it. They went through a series, they overcame it. And I think Denver is better than they were last year meaningfully. But I also think Oklahoma City might be a little bit more prepared for Denver. Even this new version of them, they might be a little bit more prepared for Denver. So that's one thing as I chew on this and think about that matchup. It's one thing I just want to kind of put out there because it's something I'll be watching. But let me ask you this. The team I'm most interested that I didn't hear mentioned that has elevated a tier up in my mind is the LA Clippers. And I know it's just from watching the preseason, but John Collins is a heck of a player. Bradley Beal obviously can be a great player if seeing what they get from him. And Brook Lopez is a very good backup center. They had depth last year. This year, their depth is insane. And I just wonder, we discount them the same way we discount Cleveland because they kept losing with all the hype. But I kind of think this year they're actually meaningful better. Do you hear their name thrown around at all?
Yeah, no, I think people do feel like the Clippers are going to be a top four force in the West, especially we've seen Kawhi more in the preseason than we have in
Great
ages.
point.
And so he's starting the season, in a better place than he has. I mean, you do have to wonder, does the off court stuff, does the league's investigation into these allegations, underlying allegations of cap circumvention, how distracting of a story is that? Can the players just tune that out completely? Maybe they can. But no, I mean, the Clippers to bring in Collins, Beal, the role they have earmarked for him, if he embraces it, he can be good for them. I think Chris Paul proved in San Antonio that even at 40, he still has something left and brings, brings a lot of know-how to a team. I think a lot of people are, you know, they've taken note of the Clippers' depth, no question. So I mean, they should be in that top four mix. And Minnesota's another team that two straight trips to the conference finals, and you hear very little talk about Minnesota. Now, part of that is they lost Nickeil Alexander-Walker. They haven't really been able to make any replacements. They need more ball handling and playmaking. We all love Mike Conley, but Mike Conley is inching closer to 40 himself. Do they have enough guard play? Can Ant Edwards take another leap? But I think Minnesota's another one of those teams that we shortchange.
I got a follow up on the Clippers though, real quick. Let's just assume this investigation takes its, goes its course, no matter what the outcome, assuming it's not some kind of death penalty, some major thing, but assuming no penalty or some minor penalty. Can the NBA really hand the trophy to the LA Clippers? Would that not be the ultimate uncomfortable moment for Adam Silver if that were the case this year? I mean,
Well,
not
I
that
mean,
they would
look,
intervene, but
even before we get to that, I mean, what's All Star Weekend going to be like?
yeah.
All Star Weekend, Intuit Dome is Steve Ballmer's palace. He took such an active role in the assembly of that building and what it would look like. And this is, this shiny new arena that he wants to show off, and the whole league will be descending upon Los Angeles in February. And Steve Ballmer is supposed to be the grand marshal of this parade. And I don't think the league's investigation will be done by then. At least that's the early indications. So presumably this will still be an open question during All-Star Weekend. And, Adam Silver will do his annual All-Star press conference, and there will be questions about it. So, I mean, even the
Yeah.
even the last Board of Governors meeting, Steve Ballmer's got to be in the same room with all these owners, and all these allegations are swirling around it. It definitely is a weird thing, but again, we talk about it in the media. How much of this does this impact the players in any way? And
Seems like
you
not
could,
much.
you wouldn't be surprised if the answer is no.
I know I told you one last team, but I there is another team I'm curious about. I was on ESPN earlier this week, and Kevin Pelton, who does a lot of analytics stuff for ESPN's NBA arm, he has the Golden State Warriors coming out of the Western Conference. He says the metrics show that this is the team. We saw them go on the run last year. What's the conversation you hear from people around the league about the Warriors? Is there real buzz that they might be a sleeping giant?
Look, I think they've improved their team without question. To get Horford at the price they did, if DeAnthony Melton can come back from injury, they've gotten a little deeper, and they're obviously going to have Jimmy Butler now for a full season. The question just will be the full season grind. How do they handle the 82 games to get to the playoffs? Can they secure a top 6 seed so they don't have to go through the play-in door, which is a layer of tension and exertion that they don't need? But yeah, I mean, they're going to be a tough. I mean, that's the thing. The West, Oklahoma City is on its own level in the West. They are, you have to say, the Thunder are in a tier of their own, but there are so many teams beneath them that you might not necessarily say they're clear-cut contenders on October 15th ish, but if things break right and just the way the conference shakes out, and of course there will be injuries, that take teams out here and there. It's really hard to project what the West 1 to 10, 1 to 12 ladder is going to look like 6-7 months from now. But I mean, the West is so deep, especially compared to this East,
Yeah.
which again is just so ravaged by injury.
Well, one team that we didn't mention, and for good reason, is the Sacramento Kings. And they just made a move that completely perplexes me, in that they added Russell Westbrook, the former MVP. Obviously, still has some juice. He had a decent season, pretty good season for the Denver Nuggets last year. Was a big part of their bench, really the most important player off of their bench. But here's what I don't get, Mark. They already are bringing back Zach LaVine. They have Malik Monk. They've got DeMar DeRozan. They added Dennis Schroeder. They have Keon Ellis, who I love, and they have Devin Carter, who I like. Why are they adding Russell Westbrook? To me, it almost signals that there are some of those guys that I like that they don't like nearly as much. Did that move surprise you at all? I mean, I guess it didn't surprise us. We've been hearing this rumor for 3
Yeah.
months, but
I would say this. It shouldn't perplex you from the perspective of Russell Westbrook is going to bring an edge and intensity level that greatly appeals to Scott Perry, the new GM in Sacramento, and it definitely appeals to Doug Christie, the coach. Russell Westbrook is going to play with the tenacity and aggressiveness that Doug Christie obviously wants. The Kings had major trouble last season with bench production, and so Russell Westbrook should be able to help them there. So from a vibes perspective, I think it makes a lot of sense. Where you are justified with the perplexed reaction is what we've heard all summer. The word about the Kings since July is, yes, they're interested in Russell Westbrook, but they want to move Malik Monk or more likely Devin Carter first. Can they move one of those guys to ease the backcourt logjam? And they couldn't move either one. Malik Monk, they tried to include in a variety of trade proposals for Jonathan Kuminga. None of those went very far. Nothing happened in there. And it emerged more recently over the last month to 6 weeks that the Kings were open to moving Devin Carter, even more so than Malik Monk, to try to ease that backcourt logjam. Nothing is materialized there. So they've signed Russ, even though they didn't really clear any time out for him on paper. Now, they just lost Keegan Murray for 4 to 6 weeks. We're obviously talking different positions here, but for a team that's already worried about its bench situation, and you lose a key starter like Murray for 4 to 6 weeks, who, of course, they also just extended this week, 5-year, $140 million rookie scale extension. So there are reasons for the Kings to want this to happen, and we'll just have to see what kind of role he has. And you also have to say, DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Schroeder, all of these Kings veterans wanted Russell Westbrook there. So that matters too.
Devin Carter was their lottery pick last year. To move or want to move on to him after 1 year just feels like bad process. No matter what, like I can understand saying, hey, Russell Westbrook helps us this year. It's better for us this year. But why make that pick? Just to me, anytime a team is in a position where it's like, hey, they would like to get rid of the guy they just took in the lottery a year ago, always seems a little bit strange to me. Let's take a break now and talk about our sponsors. First one I want to tell you guys is SeatGeek. You guys are looking for some of the best deals on tickets. I know you are, because the NBA season starts next week. You will always want to be there for opening night. There's no hope like opening night. There's no excitement or energy like opening night. Where are you going to get your tickets? You want to give SeatGeek a chance. I want to give them a shout out because they have over 35 million downloads. SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and more. I always like, come weekend, if I don't have plans, just open up SeatGeek and see what's going on in my neck of the woods. Maybe there's a festival I didn't even know it was going on. Maybe there's some kind of concert of a band I really like. But right now is NBA season, so of course I'm looking on SeatGeek to see the best deals on the games I want to catch on opening week. It has all kinds of great features. They even will have this feature where they'll show you the green icon. Green means good, red means bad, so you know you're getting a good deal. They rate every ticket based on a scale of 1 to 10 to help you know that you're getting a good deal. You can't always get the best deals, on tickets. Sometimes, like opening night, you might not see a lot of greens, but some nights you'll see, hey, this is way underpriced per average. You can see that really easily. It's a really nice interface. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And of course, I've got a code for you. You can use the code ALLNBA10. Make sure you use our code here, ALLNBA10, for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off of any tickets with the promo code ALLNBA10. Also want to tell you guys about FanDuel. FanDuel's got an offer you don't want to miss this NFL season and this NBA season. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet $5, and if you win, you unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. You can build parlays, bet player props, ride the live lines, whatever your style is, FanDuel has you covered. The NFL and NBA seasons are here. The only question is, are you ready? Visit FanDuel.com/AllNBA to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Let's move on now. I want to talk about LeBron James because he is out for a while, indefinitely it seems, with sciatica, something we're told he's been dealing with since August. And first of all, let's just stick on that. That is a very unique injury to happen in the NBA. And obviously he's up there in years. Sciatica, as much as I understand, and I'm curious what you hear around the league, that doesn't feel like one where I give it some rest and he'll come back. That feels like one that almost seems like it is systemic. You know, your body kind of starts dealing with that and it deals with it for a long time. What have you heard about that? And what should we expect from LeBron James's health this season?
Yeah, it's worrisome. There are a lot of unknowns. I just was with the Lakers in Vegas. This is a real thing, and they don't have answers right now. They don't know how long it's going to take. They hope that he can get back to playing speed by mid-November-ish, but is that realistic? This is year 23. No NBA player has gone that long. He's going to be 41 in December. It's an answer I can't give you. And the Lakers obviously need him. You know, the Lakers made as many upgrades as they could, and I think they did pretty well with, you know, like Denver with their limited flexibility. I think DeAndre Ayton at the price point they got him is a worthy gamble. Marcus Smart and LaRavia, you know, again, none of these guys broke the bank. They all make sense as additions, but the reality is the Lakers had very limited flexibility to improve their roster. They did as much as they could. They've got LeBron James under contract for the rest of the season. In the West, you can't afford to not have him. They need LeBron's record-setting 23rd season to be a productive one. And it's obviously not getting off to a great start. And yeah, that is one of the major things to monitor right now.
But it's not even just that. I mean, the LeBron piece of this is concerning to me. And of course, I know that it's been a little contentious offseason for him, you know, with the Lakers this summer. And so when I see something like this, it raises the signal. But it's not just that, Mark. The first preseason game, I think it was the Suns that they lose to, and JJ Redick goes to the podium and says, hey, this is not an excuse. But their guys got together all summer and they worked out together, and they're starting ahead of where we are starting. DeAndre Ayton a couple weeks ago just said, hey, I haven't actually played with LeBron or Luka yet, so I don't really know anything about him. When I hear those things are very telling to me about where a team is at collectively coming into a training camp. And I look at their roster and I say, Luka's so great, LeBron's so great that, okay, their roster is good enough for them to be interesting. But I'm starting to wonder if I'm lowering my expectations on the Lakers when I hear JJ Redick, DeAndre Ayton say those things. Am I reading into it too much?
I'm not, because Luka Doncic is starting the season in as good a place as he ever has.
Sure.
And look, if LeBron misses 30, 40 games, then we have to have a different conversation. But if this is a 10 to 15 game absence and LeBron can come back and function at a pretty high level, Luka Doncic he can carry a team for a while. And I just think Luka's going to have a monster season. Again, if they can win 50, I think Luka's going to be at the forefront of the MVP conversation. Can they win 50 will depend, obviously, a lot on LeBron's availability. But I still think the Lakers are going to be, I'm expecting Luka to do.
I'm out, Mark. I hear you trying to talk yourself into it and phrase your words perfectly, not to go too high, but to still give them the reverence you believe they deserve. But to me, it's too many flags. You know what I mean? Too many red flags where I'm saying the West is too good. that's a team that I'm picking to kind of fall below those other teams we just mentioned earlier in the show.
Well, we don't always have to agree. I'm
I
sure
love
James.
it.
I'm sure James can save this clip, and if you're right, you guys can
Oh,
bring it
no.
back.
There's
But
nothing I hate being
but
wrong about more than the Lakers being bad. That's the worst thing I can be wrong about.
but the other thing too, I think Luka and Reeves are playing well off each other. I think Reeves is
Yeah,
gonna he's this is a big season for Reeves with his looming contract situation, but can he will he be a better complementary player to Luka this season after a training camp, after getting the second half of last season? I think so. And so, again, ultimately for the Lakers to do anything in the playoffs, they have to have LeBron too. But I don't think
yeah.
anybody likes playing against 77, no matter who the other four guys are.
Let's move on now to a guy you covered pretty recently there in Dallas, which is Spencer Dinwiddie. The Charlotte Hornets are releasing him. He's one of these guys that I've liked. He is a little long in the tooth, and he is the type of guy that I think when the wheels come off, they'll come off quickly. But I don't know if the wheels are off just yet. Is that a player that you think is going to be in demand around the league pretty soon?
I think what it really illustrates is just what I've heard from so many veteran players. Like every roster spots have never been harder to come by. Teams are watching every single dollar. You have Russell Westbrook's resume, and look, it took him into
Yeah,
mid-October to find a job. So on one hand, if injuries are going to happen, someone's going to need guard help, and Dinwiddie's phone surely will ring again. But it is, not every team wants 15 spots filled. You see
right.
more and more teams that want, to rely on their two-way guys or have a younger guy in the 14th roster spot just because it saves some money. I mean, that's working against a veteran like Dinwiddie as much as anything, because teams always need another guard. I mean, the team in my city in Dallas right now, they need, they have they need guard play, but they have a full roster. Like it is roster management has never gotten more challenging because of these aprons. And
Yeah, this is an interesting perspective, and I think you're right. This is the new CBA that teams would rather keep it open, use two-way guys, use younger guys, and then if come January or February they find themselves in that spot, okay, Spencer Dinwiddie, now we'll add you to the roster. But that puts a guy like him in a tough position, and I think you're right. We are seeing this more and more players like him that just end up going unsigned. One guy who got signed here recently, a story that you broke personally, was Jason Kidd. He gets an extension with the Dallas Mavericks. They're obviously at a pivot point coming into this season with Cooper Flagg coming in. What do you make of that extension, and what does it signal about the Dallas Mavericks?
well, this was no surprise. I reported it was not January, July 1st or 2nd, right at the start of July. I wrote that the expectation was that Jason Kidd would get a new deal before the season started. He did get a new deal before the season started. And really, we have to go back to June. Remember, the Knicks fired Tom Thibodeau. The Knicks went after 5 coaches who were not available. Jason Kidd was
That's
really at the
right.
top of that.
You're
Jason Kidd was
right.
at the top of that list. I firmly believe that Jason Kidd was the Knicks' top choice. You know, 2 very prominent voices in the Knicks organization, Jalen Brunson and the owner James Dolan. It is widely presumed that in both corners, Jason Kidd would have received a lot of support from both of them for the job. But the Knicks also want, they asked for permission to talk to Ime Udoka. They asked for permission to talk to Billy Donovan in Chicago. They asked
Right.
for permission to talk to Chris Finch in Minnesota. They asked for permission to talk to Quinn Snyder in Atlanta. Out of those 5 coaches, Kidd is now the third to get a contract extension. I'm more curious about Minnesota and Atlanta. To me, Chris Finch has taken the Wolves to back-to-back conference finals. This is a big year in Atlanta for Quinn Snyder. We'll see what happens there. But, I think in league circles, that's been a lot of the reaction, just noting that the Knicks went after this five of coaches, and now 3 of them have been extended.
That is really interesting. What do you think? It also signals to me some security, obviously job security. I know you said you felt confident, you're plugged in, so of course you would know this. But when you make the move like they made last year, it feels like, okay, we really have to believe that this is going to work out. It's an older team, win now. You get the injuries, then all of a sudden you get Cooper Flag. This almost signals to me security. We want to develop. You got a long runway. Cooper Flag's the future. You're our future. While still kind of signaling that we want to win now because we made this move to get Anthony Davis. So that to me is what it seems like, is they're saying, hey, we know that we're trying to operate here somewhat on two timelines. Relax. You're gonna accomplish both goals for us.
Well, look, Kyrie Irving is still a huge part of this team. Obviously, they made the trade that, we've dissected a zillion times, and it's a trade that remains very, very, very unpopular where I live. Obviously, winning the lottery to get Cooper Flag 3 months after that, obviously that introduced a whole new dynamic here, and there's obviously a lot of excitement and optimism about the Mavericks finally having some lottery luck after years and years, decades of draft related misery, and they've got Flag there. But look, Jason Kidd is, if you're going to have Kyrie Irving on the team, Jason Kidd, I believe, is the coach that Kyrie Irving most wants to play for. And he's already, I think, building a very strong coach-player relationship with Cooper Flag. AD worked with him when Kidd was a Lakers assistant to Frank Vogel. So he's got such a strong relationship with all the key players here that to me, it was an inevitability that it was going to happen. And, Kyrie Irving's been re-signed for 3 more years. Anthony Davis is in year 1 of a new extension. Cooper Flag just starting his career. And, they all know that the coach they want is here.
Well, the last question I have for you is on the Milwaukee Bucks, who obviously Giannis is a central question to them, but they just signed another Antetokounmpo, Alex Antetokounmpo, to a 2-way contract. There are now 3 Antetokounmpos on the Milwaukee Bucks' roster to go with Thanasis and, of course, Giannis. Kostas, the only guy, I guess, not signed at the moment. What do you make of this signing? Is it what everybody seems to imply, which is a whatever it takes to kind of show Giannis?
Yeah,
this is
I mean, it is. It 100% is. But I have no problem with it. I think a lot of people do have a problem with it because the reality is Alex Antetokounmpo to this point has had 2-way chances before. Even last year in Greece, he wasn't playing a meaningful role for his team in the Greek league. He was not on the Greek national team at Eurobasket. Thanasis Antetokounmpo was, and Kostas Antetokounmpo was,
right.
but Alex was not. And so you look at his body of work to this point, and you can very reasonably question, is he really an NBA player? Does he merit this 2-way? But to me, I have no issue with it. The Bucks live this life where everyone in the league is plotting to try to swipe Giannis
Yeah,
away from them. If they have to sign Thanasis Antetokounmpo and Alex Antetokounmpo if that helps keep Giannis happy, do it. Like
100%.
they are trying to fend off, countless teams that want to try to pilfer Giannis Antetokounmpo from them. Now, Kostas Antetokounmpo, he's out of 2-way eligibility. The Bucks would have to give him a standard contract to get him on the team and make it all 4 of the basketball playing siblings on the team. Kostas is at Olympiacos. I don't foresee him ending up on the Bucks, but again, there will undoubtedly be people who really criticize this move, and I'm just like, you know what? The Bucks, yeah, they are desperate. They don't want to lose Giannis, and they will do anything legally they can do to keep him. They've got to try to do it
It could be,
because
yeah.
it's clear now through multiple statements from Giannis himself has cracked the door open with multiple statements. This is not a situation where Nikola Jokic on Nuggets Media Day sits at the podium hey, why didn't you sign your extension this summer? Why are you waiting until next summer? And Jokic says, my plan is to be Nuggets forever. And when he says that, that pours cold water on the situation. But there have been enough statements from Giannis that even if it's only cracked the door open a little bit, 5%, 10%, whatever the number is, the media discourse is not what's important here. The other teams are watching this and they're saying we got a chance. Let's start plotting. Let's start, this is our plan to get him. Those comments spark rival teams into action to try to set themselves up to make a play for him via trade. I personally don't think anything's going to happen in season. I think Giannis himself has said this is something he thinks about in the offseason. Once the season starts, he doesn't want to think about it. I think he's going to play this season out in Milwaukee, see how it goes. There's a lot of skepticism about the Bucks, but look, Giannis and Miles Turner, it looks in these early stages like that's going to be a good front court partnership. Giannis is the best player in the East. That's why I said I'm just giving them a puncher's chance, not necessarily to win the East, but they're going to make the playoffs to me, and I don't think anyone really wants to see them, even though they've lost in the first round 3 years in a row, because again, Giannis is the best player in the East. And if you have the best player in the East, to me, you deserve a puncher's chance to win a round or two. So I don't think anything is going to really move here until the offseason, but I totally understand why Milwaukee signed Alex Antetokounmpo to a two-way deal. To me, there is zero mystery and zero need for apologies. They got to do whatever they can. They do not want to trade Giannis, and this is what they have to do.
It's going to be my least favorite storyline of the season. I can already tell. And I sincerely feel for the Milwaukee Bucks fan base because I know what it's like. The melodrama, of course, hung over the entire head of that 2010 season. And it was the worst season, 2010, 2011? I believe that was the one. It was the worst because you couldn't even enjoy the highs because that was always the backdrop of everything as well. What's going to happen here? So I feel for them. Mark, before we get out of here, you have a very special video coming up on this very channel on Monday. I'm very excited for it. Do you want to give a little tease, just a tease for people to know they should be coming back on Monday to check out what you have to say?
Oh, man, the pressure is on. No, look, I love doing video essays.
They're the best.
It will be a preview of the season to come, basically season preview. Let's see how well I can tell the story in 2.5, 3 minutes. My producer, Tanner Rotman in Dallas, is a maestro with these pieces. And so we will try to do you proud.
Well, I can't wait for it. I'm very excited. And it's all the more reason to stay locked to this channel. We have a big announcement coming on Monday on this channel. We're going to have Marc Stein every week on this channel. Me and him going back and forth talking about the headline. And then, of course, me and Tim Legler aren't going anywhere. We're holding down the fort as well. So you're going to want to stay and check out that video essay on Monday. Everybody, we appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you leave a comment below. Let us know what you thought of the show. Hit that like button for us on the way out. And enjoy your last free weekend before the NBA season arrives. We'll see ya.
We all silly like the mayor.